He's up against who else? Nathan Finnegan, who still has not ended his charge. 25th to 13th. He's going to hold the inside, go defensive on Trangarade, but Trangarade is deeper into the corner, a little too deep. No, he keeps it from going off course with a big slide.
Brings it down. Whoa! Wants to break away again. Just playing footsie with that yellow line and able to hold on to it.
5, 6, 7, 7.5. That is about a second quicker. But Davis is coming through, and Davis is easily by. Quoc Ninh is not quite easily by. They're side by side, and now it's going to be a drag race as they come through. I lost sight of Quoc Ninh, and it seems that Quoc Ninh is going to try and lose sight of Davis as he's going to make the overtake here. He's got the inside down into turn 3, and he's through. 110 miles an hour up the hill. Now it looks like New Hook is going to back out of it. Still, even with the push, this is looking tough for Larson, and Day hangs it around the outside. That's not easy in Griffins.
No, it's not, and now they're going to come down into the cutting where Raymond Day will have the preferred line. They try to hold on to it there. This is where we saw Boucher spin earlier, able to keep it both back under them. They continue to be side by side up the hill.
Wow, this is tough stuff from both of them. Neither willing to give it up.
Into the wall goes Handsome Pete. It's down to 3 cars for the race win. Sowell, Cope, and Campbell. Who will make the move first? Campbell makes the duck. Cope with the duck. The block. The dive. The second block. Thomas Cope to the inside. Will Campbell get a run back? To the checker flag. Thomas Cope wins the Daytona 500.
Waiting for that cone. This is going to be close between the two, and I'm not sure who's it going to be at the exit. They're going to be side by side coming out of the pits. Daly chucking that car around the outside, trying to see if there's a little bit of speed, but Romig has it for now.
Oh, but they've got that run down the straight. If there was somebody watching a monitor for him, telling him what he can do, hey, try to pull that Loyola move, but he doesn't do it. He stays on the outside with a defensive move, pushing just a little bit too far. Got some tire smoke as they come off of Charlotte's Web, heading down that straightaway into the museum turn.
And it's going to be a drag race here in a battle of the late breakers between Romig and Daly. Daly diving onto the binders.
Hey there, I'm Nicholas Dubois, co-founder of Advanced SimRacing. We are a Canadian company. So what we did here today is for a real petrol head. He's really passionate about cars, as you can see behind me. We did a turnkey solution for him based on his needs. We try to gather as much information as we can on our client. And like we did today, we install a D-Box system. We install ultra-wide cube control steering wheel. We try to provide the best quality for your budget. So let's say if you want a budget of 10 grand, we're gonna give you something that's the best for 10 grand. If you want 20 grand, then we always try to stay within your boundaries. We do try to make it as easy as possible. So the client, once we install everything, it's pretty much gonna be a turnkey. So he's gonna press start on his computer, and right after, we'll try to explain everything, how it goes, how it works, and then he's ready to go. Our aluminum is from USA, treated in Canada, cut in Canada. So we do sand all our aluminum piece just to make sure the powder coat sticks to it. And that's one of the reasons why we use powder coat, is to make sure you have the best aluminum finish in the industry. And our quality is beyond what you can get with any other competitors right now. We are really, really passionate about all the gear, all the cockpits, all the sim hardware, and that's why we want to create something that's really gonna reflect our passion into our product. Come visit us at advancedsimracing.com. You can always reach us if you have any questions. You can call us, you can text us, you can go on Facebook, like our page, ask us questions over there, and we'll make sure to answer every questions there is. We are very passionate about what we do, and we try to make it as easier for you to go into the sim racing world, because there's a lot of gear, there's a lot of options, but let us guide you through your process, and let's hope you'll be an Advanced Sim Racing customer.
We have arrived. The real life season is kicking off for NASCAR, but here we are nearing the end of the PRL NASCAR Truck Series season here at the World Center of Speed, Daytona International Speedway. After a dominating performance last week at Indianapolis Raceway Park, Abner Acosta continues his climb back up into contention of the championship. But you have Bradley Holly and Thomas Sink still lurking towards the top of the charts and looking to capitalize on their strong performances as well. And you'll see it all here live on the Global Sim Racing channel. Hello everyone, my name is Chris Foby. Joining me in the booth tonight is the incomparable Adam Lindgren. Also running the control room is going to be our director, Zach Johnson, and he'll be using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Daytona is the ultimate super speedway where it all began as far as this style of racing goes, and you'll learn all about it here as we throw over to our track guide.
Welcome to Daytona International Speedway. This track began life after Bill France Sr. realized the Daytona Beach road course had outgrown itself. With ambitious plans and the blessing of the city officials, he built what would become the very first super speedway in NASCAR history. At 2.5 miles and with 31 degrees of banking, stock cars easily reach speeds of around 200 miles per hour. Pretty much every car can take the course flat out. This makes for one of the most unique styles of racing motorsports has ever seen. The slipstream allows drivers to stay with one another so easily that it becomes less about the speeds each driver can reach and more about the strategy of racing in a pack. Bump drafting is a technique in which the car behind actually pushes the car in front so that both are able to reach higher speeds. And side drafting is another in which the drivers use the air off the sides of their cars to slow their opponents down. Staying out of trouble is always a difficult aspect of superspeedway racing, and it's not uncommon to see drivers intentionally move to the back of the pack to avoid the chaos. In fact, the high speeds make large wrecks so hard to avoid that the term "the big one" has become commonplace to refer to the almost inevitable multi-car pileups the circuit is known for. Also, entering pit lane is its own skill, which requires practice in order to slow the car up as quickly and safely as possible. Keeping the car clean and in contention is the main goal for much of the event. Then the final few laps, it's a race to the line, with any alliances usually dissolving and the driver's urge to win taking over. With it being home to one of the world's most famous races, the Daytona 500, fans from around the globe flock to this landmark circuit. Just like the cars on it, the Daytona International Speedway shows no signs of slowing down.
Well, that was definitely an in-depth analysis of the racing here at Daytona International Speedway. Adam, I'm going to bring you in here to reiterate some of maybe what we just heard, but also provide a little bit of insight onto how racing works here at Daytona.
Yeah, absolutely. Daytona International Speedway is an absolute beast of a race course. 2.5 miles or 4.02 kilometers with 31 degrees of banking in the turns. And honestly, that really doesn't feel like enough when you're ripping around here at high speeds. Today, they're racing the NASCAR Truck Series trucks that they're going to be running today. And these trucks are all about momentum conservation and management. So when we get into those long double file or single file lines, it's going to be all about trying to lift as little as possible to make sure that you don't fall off the back or even create a checkup that's going to create a big disaster behind you. We've seen a lot of trouble with the push in with the drafting, at least in the practice sessions today. So this fixed setup is really causing these truckers a little bit of trouble when they're coming through the corners, especially. Getting anywhere near that left rear quarter panel is going to send the truck ahead of you around. And considering tonight, I mean, with 55 laps, it's going to be a long race. If we get any sort of green flag pit stops, it's going to be real trouble for these drivers tonight when they come down to pit lane. But I'm expecting, Chris, that we might have too many cautions for that to be a concern tonight.
Well, what's not a concern tonight is finding time to give a special thanks to the sponsors that are making this show possible for us here tonight. Of course, want to thank this broadcast being brought to you by ASR, owned and operated by passionate SimRacers, advanced sim racing designs, and builds the sturdiest and most durable aluminum profile racing simulation cockpits available in the market today. Visit them at advancedsimracing.com.
It's also sponsored by RaceLab. RaceLab helps you to improve your driving skills. With modern overlays, race statistics, and native VR integration, you can get the best out of iRacing. Start using it now for free at racelab.app.
Today's broadcast is also proudly sponsored by ButtKicker. ButtKicker products added incredible immersion and realism to any game. Feel every nuance and truly put yourself in the driver's seat. Check them out at thebuttkicker.com.
And finally, the PRL NASCAR Truck Series is brought to you by NinjaTrader. Ready to compete against the financial markets? Supporting over 60,000 users across the globe, NinjaTrader provides award-winning trading software and brokerage services. NinjaTrader is always free to use for advanced charting, backtesting, and trade simulation. Visit NinjaTrader.com to get started with a risk-free trading simulator and start tracking your performance.
Well, we've also been tracking the performance this season in our points chase. This is 2022 season 1 here, and taking a look at the driver standings. It's Bradley Holly out in front, but not as dominant as we've seen in some seasons past for Bradley. He's had Thomas Sink nipping at his heels for the last several weeks here, and Abner Acosta has really turned up the wick, and he is quickly closing in on being within striking distance of Holly to repeat as season champion. Danny Cervantes also having an amazing season here, running in the 4th spot, just waiting for that breakout performance. And then Jeff Evans, just 2 markers back from Cervantes, and could definitely sneak up in there one of these days as well.
Then we got the team standings, which has got Wadaback at the front in the first 2 positions, with Overdrive Racing from the Wadaback team 20 points ahead of Back Row Racing. These 2 teams duking it out, as they usually do in the Wadaback groups, just ahead of the Loud Pedal, who are 92 points back of our leaders and 72 points back of Back Row Racing. That is pretty hard gap to close, but not insurmountable, as we're seeing many of the highest scores being around 88 points for a round. So over a round behind the leader, but still within reach of second position if they can get going. Car Ramrod, not as great as seasons past, in 4th position, and then riding Shotgun Motorsports Rangers holding out that 5th position.
And as we get ready to hop into qualifying here, just going to take a quick peek at the details of tonight's event as the trucks get up to speed. This is the 8th of 10 rounds here, so the penultimate round. 55 laps is the distance today, or 1 hour, whichever comes first. There you have the 4 sets of tires available to them. Super Speedway style racing, that's not going to play as big of a role, but what is going to be a big part of this is no spare truck. So any damage you incur, you're going to have to carry it with you for the rest of the race. Everyone on a fixed setup, even playing field, and that hard 24 incident limit is something to keep an eye on as well. You hit that 24 limit, you are done for the night. And now getting ready to jump into qualifying here. We have a few early takers. Doyle Lawrence on the track, and Adam, qualifying procedures here seem to be a pretty formulaic. Can you give us a little insight on what we'll be looking for during qualifying here?
Absolutely. For these truckers, you're going to see a lot of them riding the high side right along the wall, or at least near the wall, coming off of 3 and 4 to start their first laps. Many drivers will take their first laps up on the high line as well to try and build up speed, especially in these trucks, for that second lap. These trucks are not limited by downforce so much as they're limited by their engine power. So there you see, riding on board, we're seeing that high line being taken here. And to be honest with you, qualifying is as important as you would like it to be around here at Daytona for this antepenultimate round. And I think it really comes down to whether or not you want to be riding around at the front all day, because if you do, you need a good qualifying time. Now, as they get into the second lap of their qualifying session. You'll see them dive down to the bottom line and try and hold that as hard as possible all the way around the track while putting in as little steering input as possible. There you see Doyle Lawrence way up on the high side trying to get his speed going on his first lap as he goes on to the backstretch.
That's right. So it's going to be a lot of a momentum game, as you mentioned, Adam. Doyle Lawrence, one of our drivers, having a so-so season thus far. He's made some appearances towards the top of the field, but one of those drivers that's had a little bit of issues sealing the deal this season. So far, Danny Cervantes is going to be the quickest in qualifying, dropping in with a 52.219. Now, fast time in practice was down in the 48-second bracket. And for those of you unfamiliar with super speedway racing, you're probably wondering why the sudden drop-off where they're almost 5 seconds slower. Well, these drivers do not have the benefit of the draft here. What you'll see during race time is going to be these trucks lined up in a row, and the more they have in that little pack there, the faster they're going to go. But right now, they're out there all by themselves and trying to get around here as quick as possible.
And their top speeds are not much over 175 outside of the draft. They can get up to 190, 195 in the draft. So that's the major difference that these drivers are dealing with when they have the draft versus not. Danny Cervantes, after his second lap, holds that lead position with Jeff Evans just slotting himself into second. James Dewar is going to be in the third position as of right now. All of them racing around at literally 170 miles an hour matched.
Now, Adam, we talked about the drivers that are going to want to run towards the front of the day in qualifying being important for them, but there's also a little bit of an inverse strategy.
Yeah, absolutely. If you want to try and avoid any incidents, you want to ride around at the back, but that's not really, strategy's not really working out for these guys. Look at our timing and scoring pylon on the left. Only 12 drivers have set qualifying times. It looks like there's only another 4 out there. So it's going to be 16, 17 drivers with qualifying times, with the rest of the drivers dealing with being slotted into the middle of the pack. And the middle is exactly where nobody wants to be to start the race, because that's where the most accordions happen. That's where you can't see anything and you have no escape routes. So sometimes not qualifying can put you into a more dangerous position, even if you want to ride at the back.
Right now, Joshua Tella is trying to get out of one of those danger spots as he's out there working his second lap. So far, Tellez is slowest of our drivers that have taken a time, but he's also getting his second lap in right now. And of course, there's no double yellow line rule here. He can drop down to the bottom. A 52.410, unfortunately, not going to move him too far up the rankings.
Yeah, no, unfortunately, that's going to put him in 12th position. Adam Zemke puts himself in 10th position after his second lap, so he's going to line up 5th position on the high side. So that's not too far back of the leaders, but still going to feel a little uncomfortable as well. So, but Thomas Sink, Bradley Holly, CM Pennington not setting qualifying times. So also Baron Hilton, Bob Clement. So lots of drivers not setting qualifying times today.
And with that, qualifying will come to a close, which means a majority of our grid going to be set by iRating here. So that's going to be, well, I guess qualifying was kind of a race to the bottom here today. But congratulations are going to go to our pole setter today, Danny Cervantes, starting P1 with Ryan Goodall to his outside. Jose Medina will start inside of row number 2 with Abner Acosta. Strong performance in 4th. Jeff Evans will come home in 5th with James Dewar in 6th position. Stacy Hunter and Charles Sumner will make up row number 4 with Doyle Lawrence and Adam Zemke completing your top 10 starters.
Then we got Dalton Geyer first outside the top 10 with Randy Caldwell on his outside in row 6. Row 7 is going to be Joshua Tellez in that 13th position with Brendan Chatley in the Baker's Dozen spot. Nicholas Hunter is going to start off at 15th with Bradley Holly, the first driver to not set a qualifying time, in 16th. Then we got Clayton Montgomery in 17th position with Paul Williams in 18th. Thomas Sink going to line up in the 19th position with Adam Shane, riding out your top 20.
And continuing with your field, more non-qualifiers. Daniel Alley in 21st with Baron Hilton next to him. Then Adam Young and Danik Momi will make up row number 12. Austin Hunter and Ryan Traver will make up row number 13. Bob Clement and CM Pennington in the 14th row with Clayton Curry and Jao Guara completing your top 30 starters and rounding out the field. So Adam, right now field is gridding up. We'll be taking to the track here. One pace lap here at Daytona International Speedway because it's so massive. So we're going to take this opportunity to thank another one of our partners here at the Global Sim Racing channel. Make sure to check out the Majors Garage, home of free baseline setups. Get help from any of the garage coaches 24/7. Sign up now for awesome, affordable monthly subscriptions, telemetry, coaching, and more at majorsgarage.com, or use our special discount code MajorsGSRC for 10% off. We have a link in the description below that directly applies to our special offer.
Those baseline plus setups are real nice. I've been using them myself. It feels really good to get around there now. We do have some cams to take you through today. We got Austin Hunter, who is in one of our cameras right now. Austin Hunter going to be starting off back in the 25th position. Ran that GSRC t-shirt. Love to see the merch. I love that shirt. Actually, I wore it out completely myself. Then we have Bradley Holly in that second cam. Bradley's going to be starting from the middle of the pack, so he's going to be in a little bit of a trouble position for himself today. Then we also have Doyle Lawrence starting off in the 9th position, rocking that MetaQuest 2, as it's been renamed, with... Wow, I haven't seen a headphone band that high before, but I suppose it's working for him, Chris.
Well, you got to have clearance, you know. Maybe it's an aerodynamic thing. So, you know, kind of like a wing.
He's going with the wing, yeah.
More downforce. So Danny Cervantes will be leading the field around, coming down to the green flag. It is a balmy 76 degrees here in Daytona Beach, Florida. Just 2 mile per hour wind here, which is not going to affect these trucks very much. This is probably one of the few tracks where a good strong wind can really make a difference on one of these big heavy NASCAR trucks.
Yeah, absolutely, but fortunately they're not going to have to deal with that today. The race date set for this coming weekend, so 76, a pretty decent temperature for Florida, but let's see what they do come into the green flag.
All right, well, the pace car is going to peel off, and then it is in the hands of Danny Cervantes to lead us down. There you see the pace car heading pit side. Cervantes is getting ready to go. Green flag is out, and we are live here at Daytona International Speedway. Cervantes on the go here. It's going to be in the opening lap here, an opportunity for these drivers to try to get the trucks up to speed, which may take a moment. And you're going to see, as you can look back and see deeper in the field, some of these drivers will pull out of the draft and actually drop to the back of the field on purpose. Those are some of the drivers that probably also didn't qualify, but somehow had an I rating high enough to put them right in the thick of things.
Yeah, Bradley Holly actually was the first driver to drop down from the high side to the low side, but the front of the pack is already starting to push quite a bit, especially in that bottom line. That 25 of Danny Cervantes getting a hard shove from behind from that 24 of Jose Medina. Medina really trying to push through the corners. The high line, though, going really well with Ryan Goodell and Abner Acosta up there, but they're getting caught up by the low line as all these trucks get up to speed. As they cross the start-finish line this time, they still won't quite be up to speed. It'll take till they get to the backstretch before they're at their top speeds.
That's right. So far, our front few rows pretty much staying in lockstep here, side by side. It's right now looks like Goodell is just barely out in front, but Cervantes will run alongside him, running the shorter distance around the track there on the bottom, and he'll get a shove down the back straightaway. Looks like a little bit of separation there in the outside line there, Adam.
Yeah, absolutely. Just a little bit of separation. Randy Caldwell's trying to stay back a little bit from these drivers on the high side. He's up there in 6th position on that high line in the gray GSRC and ButtKicker labeled machine, the number 3 truck up there. But you see that the front 3 in each of these lines is all packed together, trying to get that push going, and everyone else is trying to be gentle. But my goodness, that bottom line with Ryan Goodell and Abner Acosta absolutely getting pushed out a little bit there. Very, very hard pushing from Cervantes and Jose Medina right now.
Yeah, these two drivers, veterans of this PRL NASCAR Truck Series, and they've raced against each other a ton, and there's got to be some level of trust there. Or maybe just some blind faith if you're getting pushed like that from behind here at Daytona this early on.
Yeah, absolutely. Many of these drivers have been racing in this series for well over 3 years at this point. So very comfortable with each other's driving. We see a decent amount of new names, 5 to 10 new drivers per season, but still a core of about 15 drivers that come back every season in this truck series. And it's great to see everyone coming back now as well. As you can see, we do have a group of truckers that's starting to fall off the back of the pack just a little bit. That's Daniel Ale in 18th position on back, who have started to Daniel Alley rather 18th position on back, starting to pull back from the field and try and make a little bit of a gap just in case something should happen at the front.
Now you can see the 5 truck of Abner Acosta up near the front. I noticed he was blinking a little bit with maybe some connection issues. This has been an issue for him throughout the season, and it's something that could end up playing a pretty big role in his championship endeavors. It's cost him some positions here earlier in the season. Right now seems to be holding steady, but just that little bit of a break. Oh, and we have an issue there. I believe that's João Guerra. Oh, no, oh, excuse me, Daniel Alley, who we just talked about. One of the other 3-digit numbers that race in this series. Looks like he may have had an incident there towards the back. Will stay green, but unfortunately for Daniel, looks like his race may be coming to an end.
Yeah, this is a blown engine, and this is actually off the nose of the 327 machine of Bob Clement, and this was completely unneeded from everybody in the back. I mean, everyone's just trying to hang out, so that's not going to go over very well. Ooh, look at this. An interesting move, a block there at the front for Danny Cervantes.
Now, it definitely is going to pay off in the short run, but now Jose Medina gets a great run to be alongside Cervantes here. This could end up costing Danny a little bit more than throwing the block would have.
Well, interestingly enough, it's cost the lead group quite a bit of speed. They're down to 176, whereas the group behind was at 186, so they've lost 10 miles an hour due to all that blocking and all that checking up that's going up at the front of these lines. These guys aren't going particularly fast right now.
But that may be exactly what that further back line has been wanting. I mean, they're towards the back, they're running single file, but we got a view on board here. Looks like the headphone setup may be working for the aerodynamics. That's a pretty good run there.
Yeah, Doyle Lawrence doing a great job of hanging on right now in that 9th position on that bottom line. You can see him poking out, touching that yellow line just to try and get a good look at what's ahead. Also trying to get a little bit of air to that front bumper. This is a fixed setup, so depending on how the setup is set up with the tape, these truckers could be in real trouble when it comes to how much tape is on those trucks and whether or not they're getting enough airflow in the pack. We've seen that cause issues before, but at 76 degrees air temperature and track temperature, it shouldn't be an issue tonight, but we might see some of that later on.
I do appreciate the Sunday morning driving to church hand placement on the wheel that Doyle seems to be using pretty effectively in that Coca-Cola Zero Sugar machine.
Yeah, sometimes you want a little bit of the increased, not fidelity, but the increased pull that comes with having your hand at the top of the wheel. I know that Dale Earnhardt Jr. actually preferred that method when racing around super speedways like Daytona or Talladega. So it really is the preference of the driver. But considering the fact that we're running a fixed setup and you can't adjust the steering ratio at all, it makes it even more beneficial to try some alternate steering wheel pan positions in order to try and maximize your control while riding around there. And it looks like Doyle's got a good handle on that.
Yeah, that is one of the things about super speedway racing that you really don't get until you're actually in the thick of it here. These trucks move around a lot. When you're holding that wheel, you're just trying to keep it in a straight line more than you would definitely expect from maybe playing some of the old NASCAR console games back in the day. These trucks, the air plays a huge role, and these trucks just bounce over the track. Luckily, this isn't as bad as the old Daytona, which, gosh, could you imagine running one of those ButtKicker setups on the old Daytona? It'd rattle your fillings out.
Absolutely. We've seen some of the series do that with the old 87 cars. But yeah, unlike R-Factor 2, the aerodynamics are fully modeled here in iRacing, and that absolutely pushes these trucks around. You try and hold that wheel straight and steady, and you'll find yourself in the wall due to no fault of your own, and you didn't even move the wheel. The air just pushed you around and got you out there, so constant adjustments needing to be made here.
Yeah, that's why you talk about the minimum amount of wheel input that you can put into that makes you as fast as you can, because you're making a series of small corrections just about constantly around this track.
Look at these front three, Chris. We got Danny Cervantes, Ryan Cadell, and Jose Medina nose to tail really tight up with each other and trying to push free of Abner Acosta on that high line.
And they're doing a very effective job there, Adam. They're nose to tail, and we're beginning to get away, but it looks like that upper line maybe starting to get lined back up. And of course, as soon as I say that, commentators curse, they break up a little bit, and but still Abner getting a pretty decent run there on the outside.
Yeah, and very clean running up to this point, obviously, knock on wood, because we've got a lot of drivers being very close together. I'm seeing it getting a little squirrely, though, at this stage. You can see everyone kind of fanning out when they hit the backstretch. I'm pretty sure it's not due to tire wear, but these drivers maybe just losing a little bit of focus at this stage. We've run 10 laps clean and double file, so that can be a little bit of a challenge, especially with how tight that bottom line is up the front.
Now, when you're running in a pack like this, how easy is it to get that highway hypnosis type feeling where you just have tunnel vision and you kind of lose touch with what's around you?
Very, very easy, especially we saw a little bit of a moment there from James Durr up on the high line, actually almost fading out into the outside wall there as we see a lead change. Abner Acosta has been able to dive down in front of the bottom line and take that lead away. But speaking of that hypnosis, Chris, so easy to have it happen to you, especially if you get into a really good position where you've been locked onto the back bumper of a truck for about half a lap. Then suddenly you go into a corner and that truck just dives away from you to the bottom line. You're like, well, wait a minute, why did he go down there? And you realize you've been so locked into the rear bumper of the guy, you haven't even really been driving it necessarily, and he's gone and you're out of line.
Yeah, that'll be those moments when you end up driving into a wreck that was like half a lap ahead of you. So now we are at the completion of lap number 11 here, clicking over into lap number 12. And it's Abner Acosta out in front, and now James Durr in the outside going to give a threat to Abner for that top spot. He's got Charles Sumner in that orange juice machine, giving him a nice shove from behind. And Adam Zemke in the 57 machine took a pole here a few races ago, unfortunately got caught up in an accident, and was not able to capitalize. But now he's up there in the mix in this one, and with the wild card that these races can be, this could be an opportunity for Zemke to get some revenge for what happened to him a few races ago.
Yeah, Zemke is one of those drivers who's looking for an opportunity to get a win, and the wild card like Daytona is a perfect place to get a win if you're struggling a little bit during the rest of the season. So that's why you see him up here battling for that position. I would say it's fascinating that top line is able to push drivers into the lead, but actually it's not. When you think about how these trucks work, they're so momentum based that bottom line just creates a little bit more tire scrub than the top line, which means the top line is able to carry more momentum off of the corners and more overall speed across the pavement, which means that over a course of a couple of laps, they can gain a couple of inches to a couple of feet, and that's why you're seeing James Durr able to make this pass on Abner Acosta and get himself down to the bottom line.
Now looking at our championship points leader, Bradley Holly, currently running in the 22nd position. Doesn't seem to be too fussed about moving up through the field right now, Adam. You think he's taking that wait-and-see approach that we talked about in the pre-race?
1,000%. He wants to make sure he has enough space to be able to brake. He's the red, blue, and white car tucked into the back of the field there, just about halfway back, about 3 cars off the back of this lead pack that we see going. And Bradley's doing an excellent job just hanging on, watching to see what's happening ahead of him. I think he's happy right now at the fact that the pack is not looking too bad. There he is in that blue and black machine, the 184. We're right on board with him, and you can see he's pretty calm, but talking to his team, so possibly talking about green flag pit stop strategy, considering we've been running clean for almost 14 whole laps now.
That's right, and here on the super speedways, those green flag pit stops, you really got to have some strategy involved in your choice on when to do that, because you don't want to be the driver that ends up pitting by himself.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, there you can see Bradley Holly not interested in any sort of runs on Danik Momi about ahead of him. He's just very content hanging out right where he is. He's still within the draft of the trucks ahead. He could easily pull up and start passing trucks if he chose to do so, but not interested in getting in the mob ahead of him.
That's right. Holly definitely playing it strategic, and also back there with him is his championship rival right now, Thomas Sink, running just a couple spots behind.
Championship rival and teammate.
Another good point there, Adam. So Sink and Holly, you can see they're in the comfortable 1 and 2 position in the championship, but you have Abner Acosta, who's been on a late season rally in that number 5, and he's having to play things differently. He's playing it much more aggressive. He wants to be up front, get the points for leading laps, and try to get back into that championship race.
Yeah, absolutely. That Tomahawk truck, the black and yellow number 5. They're coming up on a lapped truck now, Adam Young. I'll be interested to see what the leaders ask him to do here, because lapped vehicles can often create wrecks, especially when you're running too wide like this. So very, very interesting right now. So it looks like they're going to ask him to go to the high side. So Adam Young being asked to go to the high side. Let's see whether or not we get through here cleanly with 3 wide going past this lap truck.
Yeah, that's one issue with Daytona versus Talladega. It's not nearly as wide as Talladega is. I mean, you still have plenty of room, but when you get through the corners here, you're trying to keep the truck pointed straight, try not to run over the truck in front of you. And then, oh, by the way, you also have a lap down truck that's hanging on your right.
And iRacing recently introduced side force to the aero packages for all the NASCAR machines, and that absolutely does affect you as you go by those lap trucks. It pushes you towards the truck on that bottom side, and so you actually have to put in a little bit of steering adjustment. And then as you're passing that truck, it'll suck you in front of it, so you have to put in some opposite steering adjustment. So it's really actually quite challenging to go past vehicles very quickly like that because of the aerodynamics involved.
Now, do you also experience some of that air stall, like the side drafting that they talk about?
Oh, absolutely. That's something that's been implemented, and it's been, it was really controversial when it was, because it was often talked about that side drafting would just cause wrecks because lots of drivers would try and do it. But now drivers have come to realize that, and the side draft, if you don't know how to use it right, can actually be a detriment to you. So you see a lot of drivers actually try to avoid the side draft altogether because it's hard to learn how to use it.
Yeah, there's definitely an art to this super speedway racing. And you see here Charles Sumner, one of the head honchos of the PRL. He's now up on the outside here, and definitely would be a sentimental favorite from a lot of the drivers in the field if we could get that Tropicana machine over to victory lane.
And Abner's been pushing really hard on that bottom line, the second truck on the bottom line. And that top line's still been gaining, so I'm thinking to myself, I'm making a mental note that the top line is where you want to be at the end of this race, because if that top line gets more organized and can push even harder down the backstretch, you're going to see that top line absolutely spit out cars to the lead of this race. And Abner's been bump drafting, actually, the 55 of James a little bit to try and get him to go faster up in that bottom line. But even just with running nose to tail, that top line can go by. So it's interesting things to note here.
Yeah, just imagine how overpowered it could be up there if these racers could get into a little bit more of a strategic mindset. But we are still in the early stages of this one, just closing in on lap 20 beginning here of 55 scheduled. Thus far, caution free here at Daytona International Speedway.
Absolutely. And yeah, they're starting to get a little squirrely up there. We're approaching our halfway point, obviously, and the tires starting to wear a little bit for these drivers. Shouldn't be too bad, but everyone can definitely make it past the halfway point on fuel. So the question will be, does anyone think that they can go faster as a smaller pack? We've seen this in other Daytona races in the past, but that means you have to have a pack of 2, well, probably a pack of 4 before you can really make that effective strategy work. So the only guys I can think of who could do it are Wetterback, and they're not currently organized to do so.
Yeah, the Wetterback teams seem like they're kind of peppered throughout the field. But yeah, it's definitely going to be a challenge for them to get linked up. Was a bit of a squirrely moment there for the 3-trucker, Randy Caldwell, there about half a lap ago. Looks like he's got it gathered back up, but it did once again break up that outside line and really give the 55 of James Dewar a chance to stay in contention for the lead.
Yeah, CM Pennington also had a little bit of a squirrely moment on the bottom side in that brown, red, and cream Heusigfeld machine. And he was able to gather it back up, but that forced Clement to back off a little bit, which lessened the run of the bottom line. So both lines having a little bit of issues about 5 or 6 trucks back, with those drivers really struggling to stay in line. And we're seeing a decent amount of checkups and a decent amount of weaving at this point.
That is for sure. The field definitely, the aggression stepping up the later we get into this one. And as you mentioned, Adam, we are closing in on the halfway point here. And Charles Sumner once again being able to sneak out in front here. And that outside line getting a wee bit disorganized beyond the front too. It's a little bit of a separation here. What they used to call, was it, the two-car tango, with Sumner and Zemke now the flag bearers for that outside line.
Yeah, and the two-car tango really only works if you get a good launch from behind, because just snuggling up to the truck in front and trying to push isn't going to net you guys that much more speed than what you've already got going on the high side. So it's going to be a real challenge for those low side drivers to try and make any progress if they don't, if the truck that's going to do the tango doesn't get a shove from behind. And especially on that high side, it's amazing that they can stick as close as they are, considering how disorganized and spread out they are, because it's only really the top 4 trucks in that high side that are really nose to tail, the top 5. And then they have another 3 on the back that are a little bit more spread out, and they're still holding station right now. But James Stewart, a full truck ahead now of Charles Sumner.
Yeah, it looks like the 5 truck of Acosta getting a little bit itchy behind him. Could be also just be sticking the nose out to get some air, as we have now gone past the halfway point here. So we are now in the latter stages of this one.
And I don't think this is the race that anybody expected it to be, but I don't think anybody's going to be disappointed right now. It's been good, clean, hard racing up towards the front of the pack, and we still have that pack off the back just chilling, and everyone still has a pit stop to run, I'm pretty sure at this point.
That's right. The pit stops are really going to be a difference maker here. I think we could see some strategy plays that come in, and of course, Adam, I have to tap out here. I actually can't do math. We are not past halfway yet. This is in fact a 55 lap race. Numbers are hard, but we are 25, beginning lap number 25 here. So thanks to our director Zach Johnson, who can do math, bailing me out there with the numbers.
Well, we're told not to do math in the booth, but reading 55 versus 50 probably shouldn't be considered math for either of us, so I'll take fault for that as well.
I mean, in all fairness, I only have 10 fingers. Like, how do you expect me to go beyond that? You want? They don't want me to take my socks off.
2 trucks doing a tango at the front there.
Yeah, that's a big move, or a big change there, with this foursome now going at it for the lead.
Oh, look at this, pit stops.
Wow, we have a lot of takers for pit stops.
Oh, that's fast. Oh, I think he got down there. The 109 truck really had to whoa it up there. That was Nicholas Hunter, who almost sped coming onto pit lane, but a lot of trucks taking a pit stop. This is going to be a good, large pack. This should be interesting to see whether or not they set times. Oh, the 109 misses his pit box a little bit. Nicholas Hunter having to reverse back in. He's going to be about 2 seconds off from the trucks ahead. Let's see who comes out front.
And that gap could make a huge difference for Hunter as well if he ends up falling behind his competitors there. As we see the race off pit road, Cervantes going to be first off. And also our points leader coming into this one, Bradley Holly, was one of the takers
of
that first round of pit stops.
Let's see who comes in this time. The answer is nobody. So that front pack has decided to stick it out. Whereas I think Danik Momi and Paul Williams are actually going to be our next 2 takers onto pit lane. They're just 2 trucks, though, so they're going to struggle a little bit finding a pack.
I got to say, it's a little interesting that that's how it played out. I really expected once the pit stops began, it would kind of happen rapid fire from that point on. Thus far, no other takers other than a couple drivers that were towards the back of the pack.
Yeah, but that group that pitted is not at all organized, and they're going to get eaten up by this pack if they're not careful. So as we see, Abner Acosta actually was able to get up to the high line and get past James Dewar and move himself up into the lead of that front pack. Now, is anybody going to come down the pits this time? The answer is no.
Now, it does seem like, to me, Adam, that the inside line is maybe a little bit of a better defensive position when it comes to holding on to that lead, but the offense seems to be coming from the high side, Because you can see Acosta, he can get the lead, but he seems like he is pretty content to stick towards the bottom of the track.
Another interesting thing to note, that that pack that just pitted is turning out faster speeds than our pack that is out there in the lead. So the pack being led by Austin Hunter right now is absolutely flying out there in a single file line. And they're starting to put time on the lead pack. So the lead pack's got to come into the pit soon if they don't want to lose time on track to our drivers who recently pitted. There is the lead pack, and they're actually only about 8 seconds behind the pack that has come into pit lane.
It could be a huge strategic play if they're able to get linked up right and able to get around that lead pack. Adam Zemke there looked like he was almost hitting the apron there for a second.
But what if a caution happens?
That's another very strong point. That could totally change the outlook of this race.
All right, so we're keeping our eyes on everybody. We're going to take a look at the lap times as they come across the stripe this next time by. Our leaders just went by the halfway point. So we are officially now over the halfway point. It sounds like some people are putting this time by. Let's see who's coming. It looks like our leader, and looks like 3 other trucks. That's going to be Joshua Tellez, Abner Acosta, and CM Pennington coming to the pits.
And this is such a difficult pit road to make because you're running lightning fast, and then you have to put the brakes on real quick to get down to pit road speed. And these super speedway setups are not the most heavy on the brake pads.
All right, so we got varying speeds from that trailing pack. We've got a 59.4. And we've got a 59.4 to 48.3s versus 58 4s to 48 4s to 49.5s. So it's similar speeds compared to the 2 packs. And we got more people putting this time. Quite a few more people. This is a large swath of trucks.
Yeah, this is kind of how I was expecting things to play out, Adam. We got a large group now coming in the following lap. And we're almost getting to the point where things are getting ready to cycle through.
I cannot believe it, but we haven't yet had a speeding penalty. That's amazing.
That's got to be Nicholas Hunter thanking his lucky stars the way he was coming into pit road.
Oh,
there.
Look at this. 3 wide, almost 4 wide out on track.
Well, that's not great if you want to stay organized in the draft, but it at least looks cool.
This is our lead pack right now, led by Bob Clement. And everyone very disorganized, trying to figure out where they're going to go here. And this is absolutely losing them time.
Not to mention, these drivers all still have to make a trip down pit road. So they're going to want to get this sorted sooner than later. It looks like all but 2 of them heading to pit road. So it's going to be Randy Caldwell and Bob Clement who are going to be leading this field around. Clement, the one out in front in the 927.
Yeah, we've got a pack being led by Austin Hunter right now that's trying to eat up the drivers who just came into the pits, and I think they'll be able to do so, but it's going to be close.
Yeah, that's going to be a huge speed differential that you see between the pack that's been out there and the group that's still trying to get up to speed after pit stops. You can see Austin Hunter.
They're going to stay on the bottom. They're going to make this group go high and try and get in line with them as they go by. This could work in their favor.
Or not quite yet, but they may be able to tag on to the back and stay with them at least.
So those drivers who just took pit stops, they're zipping by right now, roaring right by those drivers. So this pack is absolutely going to eat up the folks who were 3 wide earlier on. So that's still leaving Bob Clement and Randy Caldwell out there in front as Austin Hunter goes by Clayton Montgomery, who almost merges into the pack. And look at this mess going on. We've got Abner Acosta trying to make it on the high side and 3 wide as they go by a lap truck of Adam Young.
Well, this is getting a little dicey out there as Acosta and Hunter going to be side by side for what should eventually cycle out to be the lead.
Wow.
Yeah, this is getting a little bit spicy up front. And the complexion of this race has definitely changed now with Austin Hunter being up there in the mix in that 312 machine. The really cool throwback looking paint scheme on that one. And he is right now up there in the mix. And here, look at, there's Thomas Sink up there as well.
And Bradley Holly.
That's true too. Holly up there in the top 10 now. So the drivers that were just chilling out at the back and trying to just stay out of trouble are now right there in the mix for this race. Once we get to the closing stages, just 22 laps, well, really 21 and a half laps remaining at this point.
That truck you saw on the bottom side was Adam Young. He is 1 lap down, so he was just ducking down to the bottom to let the lead truckers get in line. Bradley Holly and Thomas Sink, though Thomas Sink's in a good position. He's second in line on the bottom side. Bradley Holly is fourth in line on the bottom side. Probably not where he wants to be right now. We still have just over 20 laps to go. So still our leader, Randy Caldwell, as we're going past Bob Clement, who just pitted. Randy Caldwell's the last truck out there, and he's just now coming to pit lane. So Austin Hunter, given that he can lead this lap, will inherit the lead.
Yeah, that's a tough break for Caldwell. He ended up on pit road all by himself. So unfortunately, he will have some struggles once he gets back out onto the track. But what's not struggling right now is the quality of this race. Between the 5 of Abner Acosta, the 312 of Austin Hunter, leading the 2 packs, or the 2 lines of trucks here around Daytona, coming up on some more lap traffic here shortly.
CM Pennington, who was part of the lead group a while ago, had struggles in his pit stop and now has fallen off the pace and is about to get lapped by our leaders. Randy Caldwell, who just recently pitted, is absolutely going to fall back of our leaders by a couple of seconds at least. So let's see what the lead pack does here with a lap truck of Pennington.
Yeah, we'll keep an eye on Pennington there. Seems to be running towards the bottom of the track, now moving the opposite way across the track.
Abner's going to take all the draft there and then dip down to the bottom side.
Yeah, nice little play there by the 5 truck, getting in the wake of the 44. But look at there, you see Bradley Holly on that inside line now, going to be running in just about the 5th or 6th position there. Now Acosta is losing ground on that high line. It seems like that's flip-flopped a little bit from how things were running earlier on.
Yeah, absolutely. So it looks like everyone possibly just took fuel this past time around. I'm seeing a lot of 12-second and 13-second stops. Some people did take tires, but not that many. So interesting to note that particular strategy for sure. But Austin Hunter, in that pit strategy, in that pit call of coming to the pit lane the first time around, he gained 24 spots from his starting position towards the back of this field. So he started 4th to last and is now leading this race.
Not a bad day's work by any stretch, with Hunter out in front, Acosta second, Sink third, Cervantes fourth. Or excuse me, Ryan Goodell in fourth.
Well, it changes every second.
Yeah, it's just super speedway racing for you.
So interestingly enough, Chris, the most racing we saw was when those 2 packs were joining together going past lap traffic. At this point, everyone seems content to ride once again. We're going to start to see racing probably with 10 to go at most, 5 to go more likely. But at that point, it's almost too late.
That's right. A good portion of the race up to that point, Adam, is going to be these drivers just trying to be able to stay in it to be there at the end. But you also have to have yourself in a position to make a move at the end. And while we've seen legendary drives from people like Dale Earnhardt that was able to go from 17th to 1st in a couple laps at the end of a race at Talladega, it's not as easy as old Dale Earnhardt made it look. There's a lot of art to this super speedway racing, and you can make up a lot of ground, but it's not always as easy as it sounds.
Well, it's changed a lot since Dale Earnhardt ran the speedway races, and especially with the effectiveness of the draft right now, that definitely has come into play as we see a big checkup on the bottom side and the top side. So both lines checking up in the bottom line. 2 trucks out in front right now. But that being said, we have a full 21 trucks in this lead pack. And whoa, hold on a minute. We have 1 truck stopped. I'm trying to see who this is. Stacy Hunter has spun out.
Well, Hunter able to make it down to the apron, so we'll stay green.
This was off the nose of the 24 truck from the back pack. This was Jose Medina that ends up spinning Stacy Hunter, trying to get up towards the front.
Yeah, I heard Medina on the radio, but wasn't able to make out what he was saying here. We're going to take another look at it. A little breakaway pack, and yeah, that's unfortunately a product of this style of racing. Sometimes you're the windshield, sometimes you're the bug.
Yeah, and so Stacy, fortunately for Stacy, no damage, but that's probably the end of Stacy's attempt at winning this race. Still on the lead lap, but quite a ways off of the pace right now, nearly 3/4 of a lap behind.
And that's definitely a bummer for Stacy, our most recent Super Speedway winner in this series, picking up a win late last year. But right now it's Austin Hunter holding a pretty wheel here out in front with Thomas Sink on his tailgate. And it seemed like for a minute there, Abner kind of got left hanging. But some more drivers have filled in the gap here.
I think that if Bradley Holly gets clear of Abner Acosta on that high side, he's going to go there and try and pick up the front of Abner and get Abner to push into the lead. Because I think right now Bradley Holly's stuck in a position where there's no way he can win this race right now. He's just boxed in a little bit too much. Fourth on the inside line. There you see him in that black and blue machine, the 184. Even though he's leading this championship, he's in a position right now where he's at the mercy of every other driver around him. Getting to the front of the pack means that you're more or less, riding the horse rather than being amongst the pack of horses.
Now, also, you have a bunch of drivers here that haven't been to victory lane in quite a while. Now, Adam, as a driver, what do you think is going through their mind right now when they can see the front of the field and there's a chance to possibly capitalize on that here in the closing laps?
15 to go. I haven't won in a while. It's Daytona. It's everyone's best shot to win. I'm thinking to myself, which lane is going better? Where can I go? Who's moving? Do I think about making it 3 wide? How can I get further forward to try and maximize my opportunity of getting a win here? And then I'm trying to figure out, is there going to be a wreck? And if there is, how do I avoid it? Those are the thoughts going through my mind right now. And as we start to approach 10 to go, that'll get a little bit more desperate. I'll be more willing to make a move. At 5 to go, anything goes.
That's right. We're getting really close to the time of this race where the gloves come off and these drivers stop being nice and start getting real. But right now we're still in the play nice stage so far, as Austin Hunter still continuing to lead. And I'm honestly surprised here, Adam. That outside line, after being so dominant early on, seems to be struggling to keep up.
Yeah, which is really interesting. That's not exactly what I thought would happen, especially with the 5 leading it. Abner is a very quick driver, as we've seen over the last 2 rounds. And so with Abner up there at the head of that line, it just goes to show the speed of those Woodback machines of Thomas Sink and Bradley Holly pushing Austin Hunter and Danny Cervantes on that bottom line towards the front of that pack. It just comes down to the smoothness of their driving. And oh, look at this. There they go. I told you they were going to go up to the high side.
Just like you called it. As soon as he was clear, Holly went to the outside, but I don't think what he had planned was Danny Cervantes cutting in front of him there. So now the 25 truck is leading that top line, and just like that, Acosta shuffled back to 3rd in line on the top.
Yeah, but Bradley will take this. He can make this 3 wide and make a shot for the win himself if he wants to. He'll try and push Danny out there to the lead. Interestingly enough, I've been keeping my eyes on that 44 machine of CM Pennington, a lap down truck in the midst of this pack. And Pennington has been a little unstable in that high line, causing a couple of people to panic and do a little bit of brake checks. And that might be why the high line is not working quite as well as it wants to up there.
Now, with Abner Acosta, who's been playing catch-up in the point standings the last few weeks here, Adam, he now has the his biggest threat to the championship right in front of him. If Bradley pulls out of line, does he go with Bradley to try to possibly have a shot at victory himself, or does he leave Bradley hanging?
He'll leave Bradley hanging. It's all about the points. You can't worry about Abner's on such a run. He knows he's going to win next week. That's the kind of mindset you're in. So you don't go with your championship contender. You hang him out to dry. He's got teammates. Let his teammates help him. You're going to go try and win the race yourself, and you're definitely not going to help your opponent, especially when he's been the reigning champion that Bradley Holly has been in this series. No, you hang that man out to dry and you see who his friends are.
Well, a very ruthless perspective there as we close in on 10 laps to go here. And you got Danny Cervantes out in front, Adam. He's another one of those guys that's up there in the top 5 in the championship. Still looking for a trip to victory lane here after quite a long drought in this truck series. And he's got to be absolutely salivating at the position.
Oh, no, Thomas Sink. That's a big checkup, but we've got a spinner into the inside wall. That's Jeff Evans. Jeff Evans coming back on track, a little slow, but still pointing in the right direction. We're going to stay green.
Well, that had the potential to be an absolute game-changing moment. Oh, no, is that engine smoke out of the 41?
Yeah, he hit the inside wall very hard. So, unfortunate for Jeff Evans, his night's over, but the lead pack still racing hard. This was a big checkup that happened through the tri-oval. Now, fortunately, they're still going. They've got Joshua Tellez that they're going to be trying to pass. Tellez goes to the high line. Look at how fast they're going now. Chris, they're up to 186. These guys are pushing hard. I think the gloves are off. We're within 10 to go.
That's right. Look at that. Acosta has moved back down to the inside. He's now the one pushing Austin Hunter in the 312. They are side by side, still neck and neck at the line. We're going to cross over to 9 to go here. And it's still Cervantes and Hunter, but they have the two of the top championship contenders breathing down their neck. No pressure for your top two.
Now, these top two are going to try and duke it out themselves. I think we're going to see 4 wide to the line if the lines stay like this without any cautions. And we're seeing some really aggressive pushing there from Acosta as he's trying to get that bottom line moving. Oh, my goodness. It's such aggressive pushing right now. That top line, though, so effective. Cervantes almost out in front. He could dip down to the bottom if he wants to, but he knows he's got a very strong pusher in Bradley Holly. But he also knows that Holly's going to be looking for any opportunity to win come the final lap. So we'll see what happens here. It's such intense racing. They're pushing with all their might now.
Well, Adam, I know you're a bit of a musician yourself. And, just like in music, as in racing, timing is everything here on the super speedways. These drivers not only have to be in position, but they have to know the right time to make a move.
Absolutely, and you've also got to know the right time to build up to the crescendo and build up to the peak of their performance art, and that means coming out of turns 3 and 4 on the final lap of the race. So you're looking for opportunities to find out how you can build that run right now, and very interesting to see as they're all racing through here. Nobody's really trying anything right now, but you can see Abner Acosta hanging just a little bit back of Cervantes right now, as he tries to get back to the bumper of Cervantes. So not a lot of pushing going on in the corners. That's good, because pushing in the corners for the trucks usually ends in disaster. But my goodness, these guys are absolutely flying right now. We're bumping up the speeds over 183, 184, 185 miles an hour in the middle of the pack.
So here in the closing stages, the PRL NASCAR Truck Series here at Daytona International Speedway. Right now it's Danny Cervantes and Austin Hunter leading the way at the head of the two lines. We have two of our championship contenders right behind him. Right behind them, I should say, Abner Acosta on the 5. And Acosta now gives Hunter a huge push. Hunter is way out in front, but Acosta doesn't follow right behind him. He's setting up Hunter to be a little bit of a...
Here comes Cervantes' run. Cervantes is well clear now. He could dive down to the bottom if he wants to.
But does Cervantes want to give up that push from Holly? Looks like he does not. Falls back in line. He'll now be right off the nose of the 184.
Chris, if I'm anybody in the field, I'm thinking if I give Holly clean air, I'm losing this race. I need to keep Holly tucked to my rear bumper, because that's the only shot I have at winning, is keeping him behind me. If I dive down to that bottom line and he gets a good shove from behind, see you later, folks. Even at Daytona, Bradley Holly's racecraft is very hard to beat. That's why he's such a good champ. That's why he's such a reigning champion. So the best thing to do is to keep him boxed in there.
Oh,
that was close.
They get really close off of turn 2 there. Or excuse me, off of turn 4. Numbers are hard. I'm really struggling.
5 to go. It's absolutely go time now, Chris.
That's right. Things are starting to get a little more dicey here. You can see it's almost like that outside line is squeezing down a little bit as they come off the corner, maybe trying to get a little bit of a side draft and stall the run. But Austin Hunter, once again, getting a great shove by Acosta. He'll be out in front again. And it seems like Acosta is almost setting up Austin Hunter to be overtaken there. He just shoves him way out in front and then just hangs back, maybe trying to get a run to get by.
Oh, we got a wreck going on in the back of the field. The 55 finally hits the outside wall. The 71 spinning to the bottom side, and Clayton Montgomery's caught up in it. That's a caution. This will take us to overtime.
Well. We go 51 laps, caution-free, Adam. And then the first one strikes. We had a few trucks that were mid-pack there that got together. Looks like the 55 and James Dewar still struggling there.
Yeah, James Dewar went to the high side, went 3 wide in the back, and just gets stuck in the outside wall, tries to come down off the outside wall, and makes contact with the 71 and the 45. The 71 of Stacy Hunter and the 45, or rather the 44 of CM Pennington. And that causes this incident. You'll see it right here. There he is going 3 wide. He goes a little bit too high, hits that outside wall, gets stuck in it, then cuts it down across the track and takes out 2 trucks.
Yeah, so Stacy Hunter's night goes from bad to worse, and looks like, unfortunately, Clayton Montgomery along for the ride as well. So this will be a bit of a game changer here. I believe, per policy in this one, we'll have a 1-lap shootout.
We still have plenty of time left on the clock, so we'll see. We have not... We'll see what happens when we come across the line this time with the pace car to see whether or not we get a green-white checker.
Yeah, fair point. I might be jumping the gun there a little bit. This race has me all kinds of amped up, Adam.
I mean, that was some fantastic racing we were seeing, and we're going to see... Interestingly enough, with the green-white checker, the trucks do not get up to full speed before they cross the finish line. So it's really anybody's game. And if you get a good run at the beginning, you actually want to make sure that the guy behind you has a better run and gets on your rear bumper. Because if he could push you, then you've got double the run against the opponent ahead. And we're going to see a lot of shuffling, and probably not our final caution of the night.
Yeah, that's another fair point here, is this could get very messy in the closing stages. We've seen some of these super speedway races settled at the end, in large part thanks to an accident or a misstep by somebody else. And we are going to go to a green-white checker finish here, Adam. This series only has 1 attempt at the green-white checker, so it's all or nothing here.
Yeah, so these drivers have a incentive to keep it clean. This is going to be a pretty sketchy restart, and I think the people in the best position are actually Abner Acosta and Bradley Hawley to get those runs on our 2 lane leaders, Austin Hunter and Danny Cervantes. Bradley Hawley will be lining up on the outside, Abner Acosta on the inside, both of them in the second lane.
So you have 2 championship contenders in the second row, 2 drivers looking for their first wins in a while on the front row, and then you have another championship contender back behind and another guy that's looking to be a wild card in Brendan Chatley. So a whole bunch of different scenarios at play here as we close in on this green-white checker finish here for the PRL trucks.
Granted, Chris, that we don't have a wreck at the front of the field. I think the person who is the last person who has an opportunity to win this thing is Ryan Goodell in 8th position. I think he's the last one who really has a realistic shot unless there's a wreck up ahead of him. Everyone else behind is playing supporting roles, trying to pick the right line and gain as many positions as possible to get as many points as possible at the end of this race, while also not causing a caution so they don't have an EOL next week.
Yeah, that's true. Another little wrinkle in this is you got to keep your nose clean as well, just so you don't hurt your race the following week. So once again, it will be a green-white checker finish here. And like you mentioned, it'll be a struggle for these trucks just to get up to speed. The lights are off. We are going to be going green this time. And it's going to be Hunter and Cervantes your front two starters here. But really, the biggest impact for how their race goes is going to be what happens behind them.
Yeah, and Bradley Holly is in the best position in that third spot. Well, actually, no, I'd say Abner Costa is actually in the best position because he's on the high side with an opportunity to make a third line. But the question is, he's got Thomas Sink behind him, Abner does. So does Thomas Sink go with him and push his teammate's championship rival to the lead? Because he wants to dock Bradley Holly points so that his championship does better, Sinks? Ooh, man, there's so many factors to this.
Thomas Sink is definitely the wild card in this one. He's got his own championship aspirations and his team allegiances on the line, as you said, Adam. And we have to settle all this up in 2 laps. I don't know how we're going to even have time to fit all this action into 2 laps. Hopefully we don't see another caution occur. You can see Acosta laying back quite a bit. That could be a little bit of a strategic move, but it's going to be in the hands of Austin Hunter to kick us off here as we are rolling through turns 3 and 4 right now.
Oh, boy.
Cross your fingers and your toes, boys and girls. This one's going to get spicy.
Austin's going to want to get a good push from Bradley, but not too good of a push so he doesn't get hung out to dry. Let's see what happens.
All right, the green flag is back out. We'll see here who gets the better start. Cervantes almost looked like a little bit of wheel spin maybe. He was searching around. Acosta not tucked up underneath. Thomas Sink gets to the inside.
They're going to shaft the top line. The top line's not going to have momentum.
Yeah, the top line being left out to dry. It's now Austin Hunter out in front.
If Bradley gets clear, he's going.
That's right. And but Cervantes is getting a run now on the outside with Acosta tucked right up underneath him. This may have been what Abner was trying to do by laying back a little bit on the start. He's going to push Cervantes ahead. But now the 184 of Holly so close to the 312, you can probably smell what he had for lunch today. Hunter.
Are we going to get back? Are we going to make it back to the flag?
It's getting close here. We're coming down to the white flag this time. It's still pretty much a dead heat at the front of this one, but this time the white flag is out. We have 2.5 miles left.
Going home green. We're going home green.
We will see a finish. What that finish will be is still largely undecided. Now the inside line gets another good push. Holly gonna have the 312 riding pretty out in front, but is Holly gonna be able to get clear to make a move around Hunter? No, Cervantes once again gets a tremendous run off of turn 2. Oh, but here comes Holly and Chatley now, the third spoke to that wheel. And oh no,
Holly's clear. Holly's clear.
Holly does not have anyone to his outside right now, Adam. He could make a move here. We're coming down to the line. Holly searching around, but is he going to have time to make a move? No, it does not look like it. Austin Hunter is going to cross the line and take the win. Holly second, and Brendan Chatley squeaks out a third. You can see the fist pump there. Austin Hunter obviously very excited to see how this one played out.
Holly was clear, but he had a really hard push coming from Danny Cervantes right behind him. He could not go up to the high side or risk getting pushed wide. So he just had to push Austin Hunter to the win. But Holly taking second's a good point stay for him. But good point stays for Thomas Sink, Abner Costa as well. As we see a lot of wrecked trucks trying to cross the line. That is a very wrecked machine.
Yeah, I believe that might be the 559 that was limping at home. And
what a win for Austin.
Exactly. Austin Hunter out in front here, taking the win. First win in quite a while for Hunter. And after all that excitement, we're going to take just a quick step away here to catch our breath. We'll be back with your top 3 finishers as well as our complete finishing order here on the Global Sim Racing channel at Daytona.
Hey there, I'm Nicholas Dubois, co-founder of Advanced Sim Racing. We are a Canadian company. So what we did here today is for a real petrol head. He's really passionate about cars, as you can see behind me. We did a turnkey solution for him based on his needs. We try to gather as much information as we can on our client, and like we did today, we install a D-box system, we install ultra-wide cube control steering wheel. We try to provide the best quality for your budget. So let's say if you want a budget of 10 grand, we're gonna give you something that's the best for 10 grand. If you want 20 grand, then we always try to stay within your boundaries. We do try to make it as easy as possible. So the client, once we install everything, it's pretty much gonna be a turnkey. So he's gonna press start on his computer, and right after we'll try to explain everything, how it goes, how it works, and then he's ready to go. Our aluminum is from USA, treated in Canada, cut in Canada. So we do sand all our aluminum piece just to make sure the powder coat sticks to it. And that's one of the reasons why we use powder coat, is to make sure you have the best aluminum finish in the industry. And our quality is beyond what you can get with any other competitors right now. We are really, really passionate about all the gear, all the cockpits, all the sim hardware, and that's why we want to create something that's really gonna reflect our passion into our product. Come visit us at advancedsimracing.com. You can always reach us if you have any questions. You can call us, you can text us, you can go on Facebook, like our page, ask us questions over there, and we'll make sure to answer every questions there is. We are very passionate about what we do, and we try to make it as easier for you to go into the sim racing world, because there's a lot of gear, there's a lot of options, but let us guide you through your process, and let's hope you'll be an Advanced Sim Racing customer.
All right, we're back here at the virtual Daytona International Speedway, and in all the excitement of Austin Hunter taking the win, we actually missed a look at some crazy action there that happened on the last lap. So our director, Zach Johnson, keying up the footage here, taking a look a little bit further back.
This was just a wreck that happened because folks are trying to go 3 wide. The 57 gets clipped a little bit, and then the 927 absolutely gets turned in front of the field. There we see the big wreck happening in the back of the field. That was a lot of drivers involved in that. So that's Adam Zemke, who got clipped a little bit and then just gets rode up into the wall. The 7 truck, actually, Paul Williams, he did not finish the race. So Paul having a bad day.
Yeah, a tremendous Dukes of Hazzard moment there for Adam Zemke. So we'll see where these guys all shook out in our official results here. Your winner, of course, Austin Hunter over Bradley Holly in an exciting finish. Brendan Chatley third. Danny Cervantes hung on for fourth after spending a good portion of the day at the front of the field. Abner Acosta, a solid 5th place finish to back up his win last week over Thomas Sink in 6th. Ryan Goodell in the truck number 14 comes home 7th, with Charles Sumner 8th, Adam Shane 9th, and Doyle Lawrence finding himself in the top 10.
Then we got Danik Momi in 11th position with Nicholas Hunter in 12th. Clayton Curry's going to finish out in 13th position. Then we got the drivers who were involved in that wreck, starting with Ryan Traver in 14th, Randy Caldwell in the 15th spot, and then people crawling across the line. Jose Medina, Clayton Montgomery 16th and 17th. Adam Zemke involved in that wreck, as we saw, 18th position, with Bob Clement in 19th and James Dewar in 20th.
Closing out our field, some of the drivers that had some issues today. Dalton Geyer in the 36 will be 21st over the 00 of Baron Hilton. CM Pennington 23rd. Then you had your drivers that may have been caught up in some accidents there towards the end. Paul Williams in the 7, Adam Young in the 21, Stacy Hunter, Joshua Telez, Jeff Evans, Daniel Alley, and João Guerra completing the field here at Daytona International Speedway. But we're going to try to navigate around all the confetti and champagne that I'm sure he's throwing around here. And we're going to be joined by our winner, Austin Hunter. Austin, you had to have been basically having heart palpitations there those last couple laps. It's got to feel pretty good to be in victory lane.
It feels fantastic. It's been a long time coming. I was really nervous there at the end, but I knew once Brad was pushing me, as long as he didn't turn me, I knew I was going to be in good shape. So I really owe a lot to him for this race.
Yeah, when you had championship contenders right there in your mirror there for the last several laps, I mean, you had to just be waiting for somebody to try to make a move.
Yeah, definitely. I was kind of hanging out with the Waterback guys and chat. And our goal was just to stay up front and control the race. We knew if somebody in that room controlled the race, we were going to have a good night. Not unofficial or officially Waterback, I am unofficially. So I like to hang out with them. And I knew as long as I could stay with them, I was going to end up all right for them.
All right, Austin, a very good day for you here. And I know you mentioned that it's been a long time coming to get here in Victory Lane, so I'm sure you got a lot of people you'd like to thank.
Yeah, I'd like to thank my wife for always putting up with me, the guys at Waterback, my two teammates, my brother Nick and Chatley. It's been a long time coming for this league. I've been in PRL for about 7 years now. I've been around for a long time. It's been a tough couple of weeks for me. I lost my grandmother the day after we did the celebration for Tom's father due to COVID. So it's been a lot coming, and it's great to get an escape and have this going in a positive direction.
Well, of course, condolences from all of us here at GSRC, Austin. But congratulations on the victory, and we head out to California next week, a track that has some characteristics similar to this. What are your thoughts on Auto Club Speedway?
I'm excited. I usually run well there. There in Michigan, I usually run well. Ever since I got my new Fanatec direct drive wheel, my results have shot through the roof. I already have more top 10s this year than I did all of 2021 together. So I'm really excited to see where the rest of the season and year takes me.
Well, congratulations, Austin Hunter, picking up the win here at Daytona. Thanks for joining us, Austin, and congratulations.
Thank y'all.
All right, going to throw things over now to Adam Lindgren with our runner-up finisher, Bradley Holly.
Yeah, Bradley coming home in second place, not necessarily the position you were looking for. You had a lane open to the outside, but a hard push from behind from Brennan Chatley. Why didn't you go out there at the close the race?
Before we went back to green, I promised Austin I'd stay behind him.
Well, you definitely fulfilled that promise and pushed him really hard towards the win. How are you feeling after that one? Went green for most of the race that time.
Oh, pretty good, especially since we got to survive and have a good finish at the end of the day. And the league's been doing pretty well the last couple of races, and I hope we keep it going.
So not necessarily a huge gain over Abner Costume finishing fifth, but still a couple of points over him. Very close, tight battle between you two in the points championship, and with him having such good runs recently, how does it feel to finish ahead of him today?
Oh, pretty good. Play tracks are always tough when it comes to where you're going to finish, because it's all about drafting and positioning. And Waterback guys today did a really, really great job on getting position towards the end of that race and giving one of us a chance to win today.
So the early pit stop strategy call, obviously that one paid out for you guys because you guys ended up towards the front of the field. Is that something that you guys knew you were going to do coming into this race? Were you to get green flag pit stops?
Considering how much we were having to lift at the back for most of the day, it was getting kind of, I guess you could say, nerve-wracking. So we decided to go in early and try to leapfrog the field, and we got lucky, and it actually played out to the way we wanted it to.
Well, next week we head to California. Definitely a tire-saving track for sure.
Yep.
Is there any thoughts heading into that one?
Practice. I haven't been there in 2 years, if I can remember correctly. So, it's gonna have to do some testing and seeing what we're gonna have to do to be competitive on a long run.
Well, Bradley, is there anyone you want to thank for your second place finish today?
I'd like to thank the Waterback guys first off. We all did a great job tonight on teamwork and everything like that. I'd like to thank you guys for broadcasting this week in and week out. You always put on a great show, and everybody in the PRL organization. We do everything we can to make every series as fair and fun as possible, and I look forward to working with them for a long time.
Well, Bradley, congratulations on the second place finish, and we look forward to seeing you racing for a long time as well.
Thank you.
Bradley Hawley, our second place finisher tonight. And next up, we've got Brendan Chatley and Nicholas Hunter, who are going to drop by and chat with us. And Chris is with Brendan.
Well, Brendan, great run for you. You got to be pretty happy to see Austin there in victory lane.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, he's been my teammate for quite a few years now, and I was had a little bit of dilemma, but once I had nowhere to go on the backstretch on the last lap, I was like, I'm just gonna push Brad into Austin and get Austin that first win that he's been waiting for, and hopefully I'll finish up third, and that's what happened.
Now, one thing I have been wanting to ask you about the last couple weeks is, there's been a lot of controversy with NASCAR moving the numbers forward on the door for the Cup Series cars, but you decided to go all in and just make the entire door panel on your truck one big number. What was the thought process behind that?
The first one actually had my dog in it, in the numbers there, and I'm not really sure. I was just kind of be a little bit goofy back in the off season. I was waiting to rejoin the league, and today I decided that I was just going to put 59s all over the truck. I had them pretty much everywhere, and little ones faded in there as well.
Well, that makes perfect sense. Now, with that third place finish here, I believe that is your best one of the season so far. You at least had victory not too far out of your sights. Was there anything you'd like to be able to redo if you had that one back?
Restarting on the bottom line there with the green white checkered, I kind of was going to be pretty much stuck. If I was on the outside line on the restart, it would have been much easier to try and make a move. But Austin gave me the countdown for the green, or when he was going on the green flag. So basically just try and help Austin get that win, but happy he did.
Now we head out west to Auto Club Speedway next week. What are your thoughts heading into that one?
Hopefully it's like a Chicagoland. I can pull something out of my strategy and have another top 10 at least.
All right, Brendan, who would you like to thank to help make this podium finish for you possible?
Definitely need to thank Austin and Nick, and then Brad there for pushing Austin. And then it's kind of part of the Car Ramrod group today with Charles, Zemke, and Barron. And then usually I'm in a Discord by myself, so I got to say thanks to Mike Richter for just coming out and hanging out with me too. So those guys, you guys, and PRL as well.
All right, that's our third place finisher, Brendan Chatley, here with us. And looks like we got another one in the line there for you, Adam.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm talking to Nicholas Hunter, who finished in 12th position. Nicholas, not necessarily the position you wanted to finish in, but your teammate Austin Hunter finishes in at the win. Talk to me about your race today. Talk about how you feel with your teammate up there winning for first time in his PRL series career.
Well, team and brother, so it's like double the output on it. He did a great job, and like Chatley was saying, we were bouncing in between team channels. I was trying to handle all that, and one of these days I'm going to be able to figure out how to chat to you guys at the same time. But for him being up there, it's great. It was a long time coming. He got his new equipment, and he's been working hard, and it's just built up his confidence so much more. And so now his true racing skills are coming through.
Absolutely. And talk to me about your race today, Nicholas, because racing out there at Daytona, it seemed like you were just a little bit mired in the back a little bit over the course of this race. And it seemed like the mid-pack was a real challenge to cut your way through.
Yeah, it was definitely the ebb and flow between the low line and the high line. I wanted to come home at least with the top 10, but I'm glad I lived through it and didn't get taken out, especially on that last lap wreck. Yeah, I was going for the top 10, and luckily for Charles, he bumped up a few more spots to get a top 8, and it's just how it goes. I'm glad I just came through it all without any major damage, and for the most part, it's a pretty clean race.
Yeah, very clean for sure. But next week we head to California, which is a very can be a very divisive track and a very challenging track for some drivers. What are your thoughts headed into it?
I knew you were going to ask me that because I have no idea what it looks like. I mean, I've probably been there, but as soon as I put wheels to the ground, I'm like, oh, okay, yeah. But since I don't remember too much of it, I'm going to spend more time out on that asphalt. So.
Well, as Bradley said, it's been 2 years since the series has been there, and so we look forward to seeing you guys race at it. But is there anyone you want to thank before we let you go?
Definitely my team, Austin and Chatley, the Waterback guys, how we pull all this together and just constantly working together and practicing. It sounds like a script by now. Also, my wife, how she puts up with me every day besides 1 week, 1 day out of a week, but I'm glad to have her by my side each week.
Well, congratulations, Nicholas, on your brother getting that win, and congrats on a 12th place finish today.
Thank you, guys. You guys did a great job today. I hope it was just as fun for you guys as it was for us.
I promise you it was. That was Nicholas Hooker, who finished in 12th position today. Back to you, Chris.
All right. Well, with that thrilling performance, we're going to wrap things up here. Want to thank again the Majors Garage, home of free baseline setups, 24/7 coaching and more. Head to majorsgarage.com and use our special discount code MajorsGSRC for 10% off. Of course, want to thank ASR. They design and build the sturdiest and most durable aluminum profile racing simulation cockpits available in the market today. Their website is advancedsimracing.com. RaceLab helps you to improve your driving skills. Start using it now for free at RaceLab.app. ButtKicker. Feel what you've been missing at the ButtKicker.com. And NinjaTrader. Visit NinjaTrader.com and get started with a risk-free trading simulator to start tracking your performance. Want to send a special thanks to the companies that provided the software and hardware for our broadcast listed here on your screen. And an additional thanks to June Lalonde, who provides our wonderful music. Check out her Bandcamp page for more of her great work. Thanks to the team today, Adam, Zach, and Dougie, for making this show possible. You can find out more info about GSRC at globalsimracingchannel.com or through our social media listed on the screen. Also, please check out our merchandise store at gsrc.storenvy.com. We keep a link in the description below. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel as well so you don't miss a moment here on GSRC. We'll be back in action 1 week from tonight at the Auto Club Speedway for the PRL NASCAR Truck Series, as well as other upcoming events that'll be flashing across your screen. In the meantime, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.